now tuned in to the cold, hard truth. Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands. Miracle Brokers is back. That's right. We're fully reopened and back to work. Our agents are here to serve you with all of your packing and shipping needs. Need to move? Don't worry. Give us a call today. Collect a package, shipping around the world, or straight to Cayman? You got it. Give us a call on 949-5989. Collection by personalized appointment only, where our dedicated agents are on standby to personally assist you. Don't forget to wear your mask, maintain social distancing, and one person per appointment. Check us out at miraclebrokers.com today.
Good morning, folks. Oh my gosh. Just 1 second. I definitely need to make some adjustments to the camera. My voice is like froggy. Good morning, Irvelyn. Oh, wow. My voice is horrible this morning. Good morning, Runika. Don't worry. I've got some chai spice black tea. Barbara, Blossom, good morning. It's still brewing and it's still pretty hot. And this one is a very, I know you guys can't really see this, but it is a very strong tea, to say the least. So we're gonna let that brew some more. You know, you gotta let your tea brew long enough to get the flavor, but it smells really, really good. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Louie. Louie says 2 of the Friday mornings, everyone. Cayman is at home and abroad. Hello, Atlas. Thank you for joining. Lizette, beautiful blessings today. Good morning, John. He says he's right here bright and early. So I went a little bit overboard, I feel like, with this purple lipstick today, but yeah, what the heck. All right, folks. Yes, Arnell chai tea. Is that what this is? Or is that what you're having? It smells good. This is going to be my first time trying this one. Lizette, thank you so much. We're going to mix it up. I think every day I should come here with like a different color just to confuse you guys a little bit. So listen, happy Friday. It is Friday, July the 24th. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I just put some eye drops in my eyes, so they might seem a little bit watery. But John says he loved the lips today. They're very bold. Not something I'd probably usually do, but sometimes in life you've got to be bold. What can I say? Thank you, John. I appreciate that. So listen, it is Friday. Everybody looks forward to Fridays when you have a normal Monday to Friday work week. There are those of us, ooh, I see more weather coming your way today. I'm going to be the weatherman and predict that there will be some showers in our future for the day. Boy, did we have some rain yesterday. Who is with me on that one? I mean, it rained in Georgetown. It rained in West Bay, I think. I know West Bay Road got a lot of rain. It rained in Savannah and Newlands and East End get some rain. So the weather forecast for today says that there's isolated showers and possible thunder. I think that's unlikely. Are expected to continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a mid-level trough and the recent passage of a tropical wave. Okay. Further east, a tropical wave over Hispaniola. It will continue to support cloudiness and showers as is expected to move over our area by tomorrow morning, and radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman Islands moving northwest. I dare say they're not going to be isolated showers. They are going to be some serious showers. So yes, love it. I absolutely love rainy weather as long as I can be inside, which isn't always possible, but nonetheless, I don't mind it. I got my umbrella. And yeah, so there's rain all over. So we're looking at, it says partly cloudy skies today with a 60% chance of showers and some thunder. Showers may be locally heavy and temperatures will rise to the upper 80s. It's still hot, even though we're getting all this rain. But you know what? I'm thankful for the rain, just like I'm thankful for the sunshine. Because God knows you would never truly appreciate the sunshine without a little rain here and there. What is going on with Tropical Storm Gonzalo? So we have an 8 a.m. advisory. So let us just have a quick look at this situation. I don't know who sends out these weather notifications sometimes, but let us, I'm going to break it down to you here. I don't know why they're sending this as a, they send it as a, what do you call it, as a JPEG instead of an image file. That's someone who clearly does not understand social media. We don't upload JPEGs to Facebook, folks, or any social media platform. Let me see if I can quickly change the file type. This is where you got to know a little bit about this and a little bit about that, because otherwise you would get nothing done. Thank the Lord for computers, folks. It makes life so much easier in this day and age to navigate our lives, because we have access to computers and the internet and social media and a little bit of know-how. So if you guys give me 1 second, I'm just going to be saving these as JPEG files. So that we can actually pull them up even here and then share them on social media as well. So there's actually two systems that are currently being watched. The only one of concern to us personally is Gonzalo, but of course, we've got friends and relatives and, acquaintances and whatever in Texas as well. And they're going to be watching the other system, which is super interesting. So let us get a quick glimpse at what is going on with both of these. So they're both now thunderstorms still. So Gonzalo did not get upgraded to hurricane as we were predicting yesterday. So it looks like it's taken him a little bit longer to do what he's got to do, which we won't mind, because that means that by the time he gets to us sometime next week, he'll be less of a threat the longer he takes to organize himself. And we're hopeful that that will mean that when he passes us, he will only be a thunderstorm. So give me 1 second here, folks. I'm just going to pull up the latest information on him and what he's been up to. So we have this Gonzalo. There we go. So look at that. I think he's going to pass directly over us. Like, seriously, Gonzalo, do you have to? Could you not just give us a break? Can we talk about this? All right, let's let us get the latest from the national weather folks there on what is going on. So the National Hurricane Center is watching this. It's technically not a hurricane yet. However, they do provide updates during hurricane season so that we can keep an eye on all of these developing storms. So as of 4 a.m., they do updates at a certain time. This one says that their tropical storm Gonzalo is less than 600 miles east of the southern Windward Islands. And so that's going to impact some of those islands a little bit closer. However, he seems to, hold on 1 second here. Okay. He will continue for St. Lucia. So big shout out to Lily and others here in the Cayman Islands from St. Lucia. But he's still a tropical storm. So they have tropical storm warnings, and hurricane watch continues for Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the tropical storm watch continues for Tobago, Grenada, and its dependencies. Hurricane or tropical storm conditions are possible within the respective islands, going through Saturday. So interest anywhere in the Windward Islands should monitor the progress of the system for storm information specific to your area, and watch your national weather services. So as of 8 a.m. AST, the center of Gonzalo is located over the Atlantic Ocean, about 580 miles east of the southern Windward Islands. And he is moving at 15 miles per hour, which is not too slow and not too fast. A westward to west-northwest of his path more or less continues the same, with an increase in forward speed expected through the weekend. On the forecast track, the center of Gonzalo will approach the southern Windward Islands tonight, and will then move across the islands on Saturday and over the Eastern Caribbean Sea on Sunday. So he's holding on, quite interestingly enough, at 60 miles per hour with higher gusts in small tropical cyclone, and tropical storm force winds extend out to 25 miles now from the center. So the forecast is that Gonzalo will strengthen, and some strengthening is forecasted during the next day or two, and there's still a chance that Gonzalo could become a hurricane before reaching the Windward Islands. They are expecting him to weaken. Thank you. That would be good news for us. And dissipate by the middle of next week. So as he moves into the Caribbean Sea, the cyclone is expected to dissipate by the middle of next week. So this is good news, folks. I like it, but of course, one thing that we know, if we know anything at all, is that hurricanes are unpredictable. So just because they say he may dissipate doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare. And of course, the next one will probably be rolling off the coast of Africa here shortly. So be ready. As we discussed yesterday, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being fully prepared. So we'll continue to monitor him. The next advisory comes in around 11 o'clock. So we will watch this situation very, very closely. And then the other one that's being watched is this one is called Hannah. What happened to Douglas? There was a Douglas churning out there as well. So it's a Hurricane Douglas. Oh, right. So here we go. So Hurricane Douglas is on the other side of the country, the world, I should say, over by Hawaii. And they're going to get some weather from that. Dangerous surf, strong tides, heavy rainfall is going to be impacting them over the weekend. Hurricane Douglas is, I'm trying to see how much of a Hurricane Douglas is. Whoa, 130 miles per hour? Where did Hurricane Douglas come out from? So I had not heard a whole lot about Douglas, but yes, 130 miles per hour with higher gusts. It's a Category 4 storm. So Douglas is going to be in the central Pacific Ocean, about 1,000 miles east-southeast of Hilo, Hawaii. And it's moving towards the west-northwest, about 18 miles per hour. And motion is expected to continue for the next couple of days with a gradual decrease in speed and a slight turn towards the west. So it's going to approach the Hawaiian Islands on Saturday night and be near those islands on Sunday. No bueno, a Category 4. Winds, we've got hurricane force winds extend out 30 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend out 90 miles. And they're hoping for some weakening of Hurricane Douglas on Friday, which is today, and to continue over the weekend. So we will keep our friends in Hawaii in our thoughts and prayers, because we're not the only ones in the world in the Caribbean who are obviously impacted by hurricanes. And of course, once they reach that other part of the world, like in Asia, they're then called cyclones, so they're no longer hurricanes. So this one, oh, sorry, that was Gonzalo. And then people, oh, hold on a second. My goodness. Looks like I've uploaded both Gonzalos. Give me 1 second here. Let me check on Hannah. so we can get an idea what our Texan friends may be dealing with thunderstorm Hannah. So we will be happy if this does not turn into anything other than a little bit of rain. So this is thunderstorm Hannah. She is headed for the Texas area, and so far she remains a tropical storm. She's on the Texas coastline from the mouth of the Rio Grande to St. Luis Pass. Tropical storm warning is in effect for San Luis Pass to Highland, and tropical storm conditions are expected to be in that area tonight and Sunday morning. So they're going to be, Saturday morning. They're going to be watching this particular one with interest. Anyone who is in Texas, Louisiana, we've actually got a sister-in-law in Louisiana. So Shreveport, they will want to be on the lookout. So imagine moving from the Caribbean and you still move somewhere else where you still have to contend with hurricanes. So they're going to be monitoring the progress of the storm as well. Corpus Christi, Texas. It's going to land basically east of that. And it's moving they're all moving west-northwest at the moment. I guess that's just the movement of hurricanes. 9 miles per hour, so it's not moving very quick at all. And it's churning in that direction. Expected to turn more to the west this evening, followed by general westward motion throughout the entire weekend. So the storm center is going to make landfall along the Texas coast within the warning area on Saturday. Sustained winds 40 miles per hour, higher gusts. Tropical storm force winds extend out 45 miles from the center. And during the last few hours, a buoy located east of the center reported a sustained wind of 38 miles per hour and gusting up to 52. They're expecting this one to gradually strengthen, actually, until the cyclone makes landfall. So once it moves inland, it will then start to weaken. 4 to 8 inches of rain with isolated maximum totals of 12 inches through Sunday night in Texas. So if you're in Texas, you can expect life-threatening flash flooding, rapid rises on small streams, isolated minor to moderate river flooding in South Texas, and 3 to 5 inches of rain along the upper Texas and Louisiana coasts. And if you're inland to the Mexican states of, I think this is pronounced Coahuila or Coahuila. Sometimes these Spanish names, particularly in Mexico, because they're like an Indian Spanish name. Nuevo León and northern Tamaulipas. There we go. They will expect some weather from this as well. So, rainy weekend for a lot of folks. We are most thankful if Gonzalo stays on his merry way and dissipates before reaching us. We would be very, very grateful. John wants to know, why am I not a top fan anymore? Speak up, Senora Marl Road. So listen, you guys will know, because we've had this discussion before, that I actually have no control over who's a top fan. In fact, you're the one who has control over whether or not you're a top fan. So top fan status is, my eyes are very irritated today. Top fan status depends on how much you interact with the page. But as with most things in life, It's not just how much you interact with the page, it's compared to other people, because apparently you have top fan status depending on others. Like one time I went on the Compass, I'll tell you no lie. I don't normally read other news pages, although sometimes people send me stuff of interest, like, hey, look at what Cayman News Service is talking about or whatever. And sometimes I'll have a look, but I don't, number one, I don't have a whole lot of time. And I do read a lot of international news out of the US and around the world. And that keeps me quite busy. And also, I never want to like read a story and then be even unconsciously tainted with that story in my head when I start to write it, because you know your brain remembers fragments and stuff, even on a subconscious level. And I thought to myself early on, I don't want to be like copying what the Compass has said or Cayman News Service has said. So even if I see a headline, a lot of times I will do my story. If it's going to be in the same kind of general topic area, I'll do my story first, and then I will revert back and maybe have a look at what they said or whatever. But a couple of times I've gone on the Compass's Facebook page and I've commented on something that they wrote or I'd like to post. And after like 2 times, I was a top fan. I'm thinking, how can I be a top fan already? The Compass has 10,000 more page likes than we do. And so I would have thought I would be like the last person to become a top fan, because there's so many other people that would be top fans. But I think it might be a situation where they may not have a lot of people commenting and liking their page stuff. And so you're elevated to top fan status very, very quickly in that platform. I think the opposite happens here, John. And I only know this because Cindy, sometimes Cindy pops in and out of the live stream. She was a top fan, and then she lost her top fan badge. And after she lost her top fan badge, she had been trying to get it back for a really long time. And she kept complaining. She kept complaining that she wasn't getting it back. Like, she was doing the most. She was liking and commenting. And so I think that people like Cameron, who is a top fan, Cameron interacts every single time something is posted. Big up to Cameron. And so it does make it a little bit more challenging, John, to number one, it makes it easier to lose it. And then number two, it makes it challenging to get it back, because there's so many top fans and so many people that are interacting with the page. So all I can tell you is stay on it. Cindy eventually got hers back. I don't even know if she still has it or not. But, like and comment, and that's how you get your top fan status. So I don't think that just, coming in a live stream and commenting here counts much towards the top fan status. But I don't even know the algorithms that Facebook uses to determine that, because Facebook is really peculiar a lot of times, even with the analytics and information that we see and we receive. It's a lot of information, but they do little weird stuff at times. So you're not the only person, you'll be happy to know, John, that have asked this question. So I'm just having a look at it here on Facebook's help area. And they have said, because somebody else asked the question, what happened to my top fan badge? I think once people get it, it is a badge of honor, and it's a trophy, and they want to keep it, right? So this Facebook topic says you can become eligible to turn on your top fan badge by being one of the most active people on a page, which can include watching the page's videos. Okay, so now we know what they count towards it. Liking or reacting to its content, and commenting or sharing its posts. Okay. So that's one way. It doesn't really tell you if you lose it, but I guess you just have to do all of those things. So it does say that top fans are updated weekly. So it's possible to lose your badge and top fan status. Okay. You can later choose not to show the badge. It'll be removed for all interactions once it's appeared. Top fan badge will also appear on all past interactions with the page that you are a top fan of. You will appear in the community tab of the page as one of the top fans. So basically, it's interactions with the page include posts that you make that mention it, comments on the page, or profile posts, and private messages you send. So private messages count too. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that that would have been the case. But there you go, John. Good luck to you. John, did you win a gift certificate yesterday? I'm trying to remember. Some of you won gift certificates. I need you to link me for those because they do expire at the end of July. If you don't want it, just let me know. I mean, there's tons of other people who would love that Popeye's chicken sandwich, folks. Come on now. I mean, I've had it. It actually is really good. Or a little Popeye chicken leg. Check that out. I try to stay away from fried chicken because, you know, anything fried isn't great for you. But every once in a while, you just want a little. My favorite part of the chicken is the leg and the breast, I think it is. So if you are a chicken fan, or you can choose, you got Burger King and Popeye gift certificates. Your choice. So Sue, let me know. Lisa says today she's preparing because she's a 7-day Adventist. Speaking of 7-day Adventists, Lisa, I saw recently that they announced that their annual conference would be held online for the first time in a virtual format. So everyone is going online with things this year. In fact, the upcoming Business Expo, you guys know that every year that is a rather big event that is held on an annual basis. And so every year they've had it at like the larger hotels on island. I think last time, I don't remember if it was at the Kimpton or not, but it may have been. So now this coming year, that's 3 weeks away. Registration, I think, has now opened. And that event is actually going to be on a virtual platform. So that's the first time that they will be doing that as well. So pretty interesting, I would say. Yes. So everything's gone virtual. Even CSC goes virtual with summer interns. We will live in a very virtual world. It kind of makes me wonder, though. Someone was saying this to me yesterday that, you know, they felt so disconnected, and they're not necessarily a super social person. But during the lockdown in particular, they felt very disconnected from others. You know, there's a sense of disconnected. That's why I think you guys love this show. I mean, that's my personal opinion. You can let me know. But because, you know, we started it in response to COVID, the COVID pandemic and situation. And so it has just been one of those things where we were here for you and you were here for us. And so I love getting up in the mornings and, you know, having a chat with you guys about what's going on. So yeah, I think that that's fantastic. There's some additional information coming up on the reopening of our borders and exactly how that's going to work. So we'll get into that. We do have a guest joining us at around 8 o'clock. So I didn't want to dive too deep into anything and then have to backtrack out of that. So oops, let me just, yes. All right. So this is the annual Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce 2020 Economic Forum. So that is coming up here shortly. And we will be telling you a bit more about that. So they're going to be doing virtual. It's going to be in a virtual environment, and you can register for that. It's going to be Friday, August the 14th, from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's always quite good, I think, to listen to these events. So the keynote address will be given by Marla Dukaran, and she is recognized as a leading economist and advisor on the Caribbean, known for her insightful and frequent analysis of regional implications of international events. So, of course, the keynote address is all going to be about COVID-19 recovery and what is the outlook for the region. So we will definitely be tuned into that. Minister Roy McTaggart, who's the Minister for Finance and Economic Development, will also be delivering an address on the state of government finances. So we will keep you guys updated. I'm sure we'll have someone on the show who will no doubt be joining us to talk about those things. Chamber President is Mr. Woody Foster, who, of course, as we know, is also the head of Foster's Supermarket. Atlas, making me laugh. Sandy turned John Foster now. No, honey, because John used to get it wrong a lot of times. So I am straight reading it from, we actually get the weather advisories every single day, but most times they're very run of the mill, so we don't even look at them because nothing interesting or eventful is happening. But we do actually get those all the time. So no, Bobo. I'm not going to be John Foster. He was in a league of his own. I haven't seen him in a minute. Has anybody seen John recently? Bonnie says, no rain in East End. Wow, okay. Did you not get any rain at all yesterday, Bonnie? I'm always perplexed at this little small teeny weeny island. And literally you can have it raining in Savannah and you get to Wendy's and boom, there's you can see where it stops and you can go back and forth. You jump into the rain, you jump out of the rain. It's always so funny to see that. Barbara says, I hope the weather will be good because I'm traveling next week. Barbara, do tell. Are you going somewhere repatriating, or where are you traveling to? Lisa did not get any at Creek yesterday. It was overall good weather. So this is Cayman Brack. Wow. It was thunder and lightning here a couple times. CUC dipped out, but there was no overall outages, which was good. Yes, Carol, looks like he being Thunderstorm Gonzalo is not quite as organized. And apparently, by all measures, he's actually a very small storm. So that's good news for us. Larry, good morning, darling. Thank you for tuning in. Cecile from the UK watches every single morning. We love our international crew. Larry's from New York. Happy Friday to you. Debbie, Melita. Larry says he actually misses the roosters. Are you kidding me? I think we can pack a few up and ship to you, Larry, because no one here misses them, I can assure you. Let me see here. Barbara says, am I a top fan? I don't actually know, Barbara. Honestly, you'd have to look. You'll see it though. It'll say top fan badge when you're commenting on stuff. Sophia Irvlin says, look at how often I interact and I'm not a top fan. Child, Irvlin, you got to take it out with Facebook. That is out of my league. But she says, nah, don't even have time for that. I'm good. Yes, Irvlin does interact a lot. But like I said, I think it really is, they do it in comparison because I don't know how many top fan badges they allocate. If there's only a percentage of the page's fans or whatever. I think that's how it works. And so if other people are beating you out, which I think that there are, that's exactly what's happening, then yes, it's hard to get that back or whatever, right? Krista is joining us this morning. She's wishing everyone a blessed day. Thank you, Krista. Karen, thank you. John says we need a car cinema in Cayman. When you say car cinema, John, do you mean like a drive-through cinema? We had one back in the day. Elizabeth, buenos dias, mamacita. ¿Cómo estás? Sue says, sorry, I did forget I had won a gift voucher for Burger King and Popeyes. Where do I pick it up? So, Sue, I need you to message me. You can WhatsApp me at 324-1612 or message to the page, and we'll make some arrangements for you to get that. So, folks, we're going to change gears just a little bit here because we do have Carolina Ferreira. I always know I'm saying this name a little bit wrong. Ferreira. Carolina, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I feel underdressed. You did everything, and you have that beautiful lipstick on, and you're all ready to go. And I'm like, oh God.
Don't worry, we do something a little bit different in the morning. So sometimes I just put on a different lipstick to make life interesting now. So why not? We've got Christopher joining us. He says, good morning, my beautiful people. Rosanna has just popped in. Thank you so much, Rosanna. So we've got 50 folks who tuned in this morning. Keep on coming, good people. And we're going to have a very interesting discussion here with Carolina, as much as Carolina, as much as I say your name, I'm always getting it wrong. Let us all hear how you pronounce your name.
Oh, Carolina Ferreira. Can you hear me?
So Carolina,
yeah. So Carolina is fine, yeah, and Ferreira, yes, yeah. People normally confuse it with Carolina.
Carolina, but it's Carolina.
Oh well, no, it's the Caribbean, right? And you have Carolina going too. So and it's just I blame Maggie for that one. So
I just saw your cat walk behind you, by the way.
Yeah, no, she's been up to no good today. So right before I got on, I had to step out because she was already jumping on places she wasn't supposed to be. So if you hear me go like this, it's for the cat.
No worries. I know all about animals. It won't be long before I'll hear Coco scratching on my door as well. So once she gets up in the morning and everybody else has left the house, she's like, I know you're in there. Let me in. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those persons who may not be aware, you are the director of the Cayman Islands Red Cross, which you've been doing now for a number of years. Thank you so much for your tireless efforts in that role. My gosh, you guys do everything when it comes to just relief efforts. So tell us a little bit about the Red Cross before we get into your latest initiative.
Sure, and thank you so much for having me here. Greatly appreciate the opportunity to be able to have this chat with your viewers. So basically, I'm the deputy director of the Red Cross, and I actually have dual hats because along with being the deputy, I also run the Child Protection and Sexuality Education Program. And we, for really small organizations, we really only have, I think it's 6 members of staff now. We try to do as much as we can. So obviously, we have a disaster manager, a first aid training manager. We have our thrift shop, which is very well known in the community. One thing that I always feel like I need to tell people about the thrift shop is that it's not just a shop for sales. It's actually a community program because, we do accept referrals from DCFS, NAU, Crisis Center, and other agencies where people can have access to goods completely free of cost. And we also accept self-referrals. So if persons aren't already connected to a specific agency, they can come in, and what we'll do is that we'll do an assessment with them, and then again make items that they need available free of cost to them. So the shop has this sort of dual role where it is that it assists the communities and it also helps to fundraise, because programs like mine with child protection, we don't, there's nothing that is money generating in that. We don't sell any of the services that we provide to the community. So yeah, so it's been a busy time, and possibly it's about to get busier. We'll see how that goes. But we do what we can in terms of, you know, trying to make sure that we help our community become more, you know, increase capacity and become more resilient to any and all types of, you know, disasters.
Okay, well, thank you for that synopsis, and my apologies for promoting you.
Oh, that's okay. It's become this joke now. I'm just like, I'll go back and because John Obi is the director, so I'll go back to her. I'm like, hey, I just got promoted.
I know, right?
We've been working together long enough that, you know, it's nothing phases us anymore. So
absolutely. So Eden has joined in this morning. So thank you, Eden. We've got 55 persons watching via Facebook and another 3 or 4 on our YouTube channel. So people do tune in occasionally on YouTube as well. So I absolutely love that you're here today. You are doing something that I think is so incredibly important. Anything to do with children, safeguarding children, protecting children, just generally educating the public. And you know what is most important is really trying to give children the tools that they need in order to be healthier and safer in the communities that they're growing up in. So tell us a little bit about this latest initiative that you guys have going on and how that's going to work.
Right. So what we have done is that we have reached out to all of our key partners, and we have started what we call the Mobile Health and Wellness Check for children and adolescents. And it's a really simple idea. We have a disaster trailer, which is our emergency trailer. It really gets used for a lot of other things in times of peace. So, you know, you'll see it for the first aid coverage. We have used it before for a mobile HIV testing unit. So it's a resource that's there. And we're using that along with our truck. We have another moving truck type thing that we're going to kind of fit out for this. And we're going to take these 2 units to the different districts, and we're going to within communities within the districts, not just one spot within the district. And we're going to be offering a physical and mental health check for children and adolescents ages 4 to 17. So on the trailer, we're going to have a doctor who's going to be there, and we'll actually be conducting the school screening. So the school screening, as you probably know, Sandy, is the one that kids would normally get at different times. That would be a requirement for them to gain entry into the school. So that has sort of been just because, you know, obviously COVID ended up kind of wreaking havoc on a couple of things. One of them was the vaccination schedule. And now, you know, I know HSA and public health have been working hard to get people back on the vaccination schedule. So it means that the school screening is now delayed as well. So so we're going to be doing that for as starting now, so that we kind of help them as well, minimize the number of kids that are going to need to do this in September when school reopens. And then we're also going to have in the truck, we're actually going to have a little mental health check with counselors from the Wellness Center, from Encore Cayman, from Aspire, who are going to be on hand just to kind of check in and see, you know, where kids are in. We're also going to have the Family Resource Center, as well as other parent advocates who are going to be there to just have a chat with parents to see how parents are doing it themselves, you know. And the aim is to be able to capture that, you know, that information. If people are fine, great, then at least that's been captured. If people need some additional support and they could benefit from a referral to something else, then that's what we'll do. And I think for us, from, you know, also from that perspective of kind of trying to see what we need to do at maybe the school intervention level, the community, or even the national level, we'll actually be able to gather a bit more of information to see, okay, what are kids coming up with from a mental health perspective? Are we seeing an increase in anxiety? Are we seeing an increase in depression? And so that can then inform the way in which organizations then determine their programming. So that's really what we're trying to do. It's very simple in the sense that, you know, it's not this amazing, you know, different new idea, but it is something that's a bit new to us, which is to actually try to get services out into the communities.
Awesome. So how will this, a little bit more details in terms of the delivery method and how people can get registered or a bit more information?
Sure, yeah. So we start next week. So this is going to run Tuesdays through Saturdays from 4 p.m. till 8 p.m. So it should really be at a time in which people, if they aren't home, they can get home from work and the like. We are actually starting in West Bay. We are finalizing the schedule now, just because we need to go through and get permissions to be able to, use different parking lots or spaces that people can get to that would be safe and adequate for us to be able to put our vehicles in. But if you're interested and you want more information, you can either email us on health@redcross.org.ky, or you can WhatsApp us on 547-0918. And those are the designated phone lines and email address for this project. So yeah, so we'll be in order to secure your spot, you can actually make the appointment. Because what we're trying to do, obviously, with COVID-19 is just to make sure that we can maintain social distancing or physical distancing. Sorry, the physical distancing, the number of people, and all of those things, and make sure that it's safe. So we are encouraging people to make sure that they sort of book a time so that it's their time specifically. Of course, that doesn't stop if people see us out in the communities and stuff, and they want to get more information. They can stop by and have a chat with us. We'll be happy to accommodate any last minute appointments if those are available. But if not, we can at least tell them, okay, well, actually the mobile unit is moving to this location tomorrow. So yeah, so next week we will be all of next week, and some of the week after that will be in West Bay, and we're making our way slowly east.
Okay, awesome. Well, John has a question for you. John actually has a suggestion first about fixing your screen so you don't get the reflection on your glasses. But I know that's so hard to do. But yes,
I see if I do this, then I can barely see you, but you can see me better. So it's a reflection.
It's just when you wear glasses. I remember those days.
Yes.
Even when you get up, like the fogginess in this humid weather of just going outside, and they get all fogged up and all that fun stuff. But he has a question about, does the Red Cross accept volunteers, and how or what do volunteers, how or what volunteers do you need?
Okay. So
how do you register if you accept volunteers, and then, what do you need?
Absolutely. Yes. So the Red Cross is actually the largest volunteer-based organization in the world. So we love our volunteers, and it's just like the work that we do doesn't happen because there happen to be, 6 people in an office that are trying to get things sorted out. It happens because we have a strong volunteer, base that goes out and really makes it happen. So I actually started as a volunteer when I was in college. So to volunteer with the Red Cross, I would recommend contacting our Volunteer and Resources Manager, Sam. Her email is VRM for Volunteer and Resources Manager. So VRM@redcross.org.ky. What we do is we actually go through a training process that, you would do Ideals in Action, which tells you a little bit more about our organization, are the 7 fundamental principles and sort of the expectations as far as volunteer conduct and whatnot, and a little bit more about the organization that you're volunteering for. You would then for the first 3 months, you would have a series of 101 type courses that you would take. So, it would be something with the thrift shop, disaster management 101, HIV 101, and then darkness to light. You'd also have a certain number of hours in which you would start off volunteering with the shop just to kind of understand a little bit more about the organization. So once you meet that requirement of, just sort of right as you're coming up for the training and everything else, then you could choose which programs it is that you're most interested in volunteering for. As I mentioned before, we have disaster management, first aid, the thrift shop, and then my program, which would be child protection. But then we also have, volunteers who are needed sort of for some of that background work. So from an administrative perspective, for fundraising, and then people who have, skills that would just help us with things with the organizations. We're always looking for, mechanics, electricians, and the like, whether it is to kind of assist us in sort of the day-to-day running of our shelter, and our headquarters space, or it could be that sometimes so we might get a random request from one of our partner organizations about something for someone who might be vulnerable. So you never really know. What we have done now, because of the COVID-19 crisis, is that we're actually also coordinating and managing the national COVID-19 volunteer response. So if there are persons who are interested in helping to volunteer as part of the response to the crisis, and I know that it doesn't feel as much of a crisis now as it used to before, but we've had our volunteers who went through the national process. So these weren't just Red Cross volunteers; they came from other organizations. There also were people who were volunteering for the first time. So they were deployed to, based on obviously their interest and comfort level and everything else, but to the emergency travel line, to the airport to assist when the flights were coming in, to the isolation units. And they even lent a hand to some of the laptop drives that were being done by Rotary, just in terms of collecting things. And then obviously you have all the amazing people who helped to sew masks for frontline workers. So it's a bit separate right now, because the national COVID response goes beyond the Red Cross. It is the national COVID-19 volunteer system, which we are managing. And that full training, registration, and deployment is actually completely virtual. So people go on, they sign up to it, they undertake the training, and then then they become a part of that database, and if anything comes up for that, then they will get the deployment request, and then they answer it. I hope that explains it.
What that explains is you guys are super busy. And you have a lot going on. Wow. Yes, thank you for that. That definitely puts it in perspective. So John, the short answer is they survive off of volunteers, and they would love to have more hands on deck. The more the merrier, I'm sure. And yes, I did actually see some information. You guys were trying to coordinate the volunteer organizations and the volunteer efforts. And it always strikes me, actually, interestingly enough, that when it comes to that particular topic, there are always a lot of people willing to get involved and willing to help, but sometimes they feel like they need to reinvent the wheel. And the truth of the matter is the wheel has already been invented, and there's a lot of good organizations, nonprofit NGOs out there who would just love for you to come on board and be part of what it is that they do. So I see Alric is sharing some of your links. Alric Lindsay, thank you so much. Big shout out to Alric. He is like the volunteer extraordinaire as far as I'm concerned. I swear Alric doesn't have a real job outside of volunteering, because he does like Meals on Wheels stuff. He's always delivering food for the food bank every single day. Plus he does his own little, thing where he'll personally donate out of his own money for people in need when it comes to hot meals. And he's done a laptop drive for kids during COVID. So Alric has kept himself super, super busy, and just really being involved in his community and helping out wherever he can. So thank you, Alric, for your selfless contributions to the Cayman Islands. And big shout out to Marcia, who's also joining us. She says, good morning to everyone. And John wants to know, what is the Red Cross doing in terms of the hurricane season, which obviously for us is a very particular time of year that we are concerned about any possible disasters that we may have to anticipate or plan for.
Absolutely. No, yeah. So disaster preparedness and disaster response is kind of at the core of everything that we do. Our shelter is ready. It will be up and running as soon as there's a need for it. Our shelter is actually the first one to open in any emergency. So we have that. We have the volunteers who actually come and not only assist in the management of our shelter, but they also have first aid training to be able to provide assistance in all of the other government shelters as well. So, so it's just like, yeah, so we're in terms of the actual response aspect of it, we have the shelters. There was actually a disaster management virtual meeting yesterday. We have volunteers on standby. We have all of the COVID-19 protocols kind of down for what's going to be happening. And what we're really pushing from our end, which I think our disaster manager may be doing a bit more over the coming weeks, is really pushing for people to think about their personal preparedness plans, because COVID-19 has significantly sort of changed our hurricane season this year, because it has, in terms of thinking about, the physical distancing and the number of people that you can then safely have in the shelters, and what exactly are you going to do, and people who are vulnerable who may not wish to come to shelters, and there's all of those things. So what we have been doing is encouraging people to really develop their personal preparedness plans, to sit down and have those conversations with your families, make a plan for if you can evacuate and if you can't, because, and it's just like, Cayman Airways is up and running, of course, but there's only so many flights that you'll be able to get out of here at any given point in time. So, and it's just like, so people need to make those preparations. If you have people who are vulnerable in your household, and that an exposure to COVID-19, depending on where we're at with that, would create a greater risk. So are there family members or friends that you can, bunker down with? And it's just as a way to sort of, possibly not need to go directly to a shelter. So it's about having those conversations, and that's what we're trying to get people to really understand. Personal preparedness is such a key thing, because I think now, Gonzalo is there, and it's kind of far enough away. We still don't know yet. It's a tropical storm. It may become a hurricane, but then it's supposed to go back to a tropical storm and whatnot. And it's July, and it's not. So, but it should give us that opportunity to sit down and think, okay, well, what are we planning on doing? What's plan A, what's plan B, and what's plan C, So that's what we're doing in terms of, from that aspect, really trying to push for people to understand and do a bit more. But obviously, we sit as part of the National Emergency Operations Center. We work very closely with HMCI, I sort of giving input when it comes to all of these things that are happening. So we have, we work with the community emergency response teams, the CERTs. So there's a lot of other things that end up happening, and we always try to push more of the preparedness side, so that we're not dealing with so many things on, sort of the response and recovery side.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And we actually were talking about that yesterday, folks, in case you missed it. The necessity of being prepared, have your plan, have your communications plan within your family, talk to your children and your teenagers about, what it is that they need to do in the event of an emergency. I remember, when we had that earthquake in January, I think it was, I recall seeing a young lady who was, I just happened to have been on the Walker's Road area, very close to Burger King and a lot of the schools and stuff. I was having a meeting when it happened. And, a lot of kids kind of hang out in that area, high school kids. And one young lady was just like in tears. She's trying to contact her parents. Of course, the phones were immediately clogged up, because everybody was on the phone trying to call, like, did you just feel that? Was that what we thought it was? And so, I was thinking about her. She's like 14, 15 years old. She would have never been through a Hurricane Ivan. And, those kids, if they did go through it, they were just literally born, so they would have no recollection of it. And I thought to myself, as adults, we didn't expect an earthquake of that magnitude on this island. And so we may not have even fathomed that happening, or had a plan in our head of, gosh, what do you do in the event of an earthquake? I mean, we had a few, I think, after Hurricane Ivan that, kind of talking about, do you go outside? Do you stay inside? But the bottom line is, you have to think about these things.
Yes.
Right? Write down a plan, discuss it with your family. Even a general discussion, because heaven forbid we ever have something like a tsunami. Now, none of us are planning on that, but it is not outside of the realm of possibilities. So it could happen, although it's highly unlikely. But as parents, as guardians, how many of us have ever had that conversation with our kids? Like if we ever had another major earthquake or tsunami or whatever, this is what you need to do. If your kids can't get through to you on the phones, what do you want them to do? Because of course,
Oh,
children have the breadth of experience that we do, and they start to panic. And this
yeah.
young lady was like in total panic mode. I mean, my heart went out to her, as a mom, and just, it was difficult to watch her, just in that moment being
Yeah.
extremely upset.
And it's not a question of if, though, right? I mean, like, you won't be able to get through, right? So it's like, it's the same thing with the hurricanes. It's more likely that you will get through to your emergency contact off island than you will calling down the road to your, to your family. So you won't get through. That's one of the things that we need to sort of establish, that it's not going to happen. So what do you do? And I think that, the kids who fare the best are the ones who have actually done the drills, like the schools, and they knew what to do, and they listened to their teachers, and they went upstairs and everything was calm. And it's just like, I'm very fortunate that my son goes to a school where they had those drills and they knew what to do and whatnot. So, so his whole thing about after the earthquake and everything shook was just like, ooh, we need to get a cake and put it on top of the table and see if the earthquake will shake it off the table. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you're not traumatized in any way, shape, or form. It's just like, but it was because it became this thing where it wasn't chaos, right? So, and I think that's the important part. And the other aspect of it too is, realistically, if anything had happened from a tsunami perspective, the gridlock that came, because I was actually at the Red Cross shelter waiting to do a presentation when that happened, and suddenly there was complete gridlock. And it was like, if we do have a tsunami that's coming by, and it's just like, these are all the casualties that we're looking at down the road. So it's about, part of your plan needs to be, where are you getting your information from? And it's just like, what kind of information are you actually going to be listening to? Because we grew up with a lot of American television based in California, which talking about the big one and everything else. So it's an earthquake, you run out, but but you're not necessarily thinking about the tsunami and everything else. And so that has been something that, we have been working on our end, as far as trying to figure out, how do we give clearer messages? How do we, actually tell people this is where you tune into, or this is where your sources of information need to come from, because, and to be honest, adults were panicking quite significantly more than children. I had friends who were in buildings where they're with their, little kids, and then adults are screaming their heads off and coming down. It's like, the tsunami's coming. And it's just like, there's no tsunami coming. So, so it's all those things about, I mean, people are going to have, human reactions, and it's just like, but if you the beauty of preparedness is that it gives you something to do. You're like, okay, we've thought about this, so what's the next step? Okay, and it's just like, where do we tune into, where do we get that, so that you have thought through it, so you don't feel as helpless, so
right. Absolutely. John has a lot of questions.
Okay.
I
don't mind talking about hurricanes, but I just want to make sure that people know about the mobile health and wellness check, because that's 5 weeks. It starts next week in West Bay, and I just need to push that, because I really am worried that if people don't take up this kind of service, then that there will be reason for someone else to say, oh, we don't need to do that in Cayman. People don't come out for that. So please, and it's just like, I can answer as many questions as possible on hurricanes or volunteering or anything else, but I definitely want to get the point across that we have this mobile health and wellness project, children's 4 to 17. If you're 18 and 19, we will not turn you away. We're going to be doing the school health screening, as well as a mental health check. And we're trying to link people up with services. So, and we're going to be going from West Bay to East End. And if you want to follow the schedule as it comes out, we are going to be posting it on our Facebook and Instagram. But yes, Sandy, go ahead. Give me the other question.
What I was going to say, John, actually, is Alric is doing a fantastic job of posting relevant links based on John's questions. So I think, John, if you just click on those links, thank you, Alric. He has shared the earthquake PDF document from the website. He has also, from the Red Cross website, he's also shared how do you prepare for emergencies, which is also on the Red Cross website. So it looks like your questions, John, will actually be answered all on the website. And Alric is kind enough to have pulled up the specific links that will be very, very useful to you. Because I think this issue of mental health, I don't know if you've heard, Carolina, that we're going to be launching a youth program here in short order. We had a bit of a drive to name it, and we're sort of concluding, getting to the end of that process now. But yes, there are, concerns about the mental health and well-being of our children, even in the best of times, much less, during very, very stressful situations like the COVID-19 pandemic. We had, a month ago, I think it was, a young man who lashed out in his household, and there were some concerns about not just him, but generally speaking in our communities. How are we addressing mental health issues with our teenagers and with our children? And I know for a fact that a lot of mental health, concerns, whether it's depression or bipolarism, start to manifest itself in the teenage years and in the young adult years. And so it's something that the persons around them need to be aware of and need to know how to get them the help that they need, as well as a young person, knowing the importance of their own mental health and awareness. They need to make that a priority. So in terms of, it's a need. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I think it's just a question of how receptive our community is to start addressing these things. Just on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, we were having a discussion here on the morning program about Kanye West, for example, who's obviously struggling with bipolarism, and he seems to be in the middle of a manic episode at the moment. And these things impact everyone around them, their families, communities, and even other children in the household. So I'm really pleased to see that you're going to be doing these wellness checks and have included a component of mental health into wellness, because it is at the forefront of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it is one of those things, I think, that the stigma around mental health is one that we're coming, making strides when it comes to getting people to understand that you take care of your mental health the same way that you take care of your physical health. But I definitely do think that it's one of those things where for us, when we see these things, like you mentioned, talking about Kanye West and sort of what's happening there now, and because of the kind of culture that we have globally now, where everything is documented, everything is streamed, everything is live, and all that stuff, so it becomes entertainment. And I think that's detrimental, right? Because it's just like, because I think that's what makes people feel as if it's a reason for ridicule and other things like that. So and it's just like, and it doesn't take necessarily the extremes, right, for people to need to get some support, to do a check-in. I honestly believe, and Cindy Blakaitis from the EAP said this in an interview previously this week, that we could all stand to use a mental health check, because we're going through this thing on a global level, on a national level together, but it's impacting all of us very differently, and it's just like, there are those of us who have been fortunate to have kept their jobs and have been able to have the flexibility to work from home. And there are those who have had the support to be able to actually manage the household and work and do all of the things pertaining to not just, childcare, parenting, and schooling, and it's just like, but, just like there has been some aspect of this, or many aspects of this that have been off for people. So, everyone is overwhelmed, everyone is anxious, there are things where, you've had to make certain decisions in terms of, you want to know what's happening. But, for me, it's just like, depending on what TV channel I'm watching or what programming I'm watching and about COVID-19 and whatnot that's going on, I feel, my anxiety kind of come up when it comes to that. And I'm like, okay, this is no longer beneficial for me. So, take a step back and go outside. Let's go to the beach. Let's do something else. And for a lot of us, I think that, and it's just like, we've gotten to that point where maybe just doing those things that we've been doing may not be sufficient. So speaking to somebody about it and kind of, trying to get that check-in for ourselves is good as well. Because I think it's about, for us to figure out and what Shannon Seymour, talks a lot about as well, and Wellness Center is involved in this, is about parents modeling behaviors to help kids through, so parents talking about the example that she gives is like, parents are going back into the workforce to be able to say, yeah, I was a little bit scared too, when I went there, but then I got there and I realized that, everybody was, everyone felt a little bit the same way. Everybody was being cautious, and to just acknowledge the fact that, this is not normal. And it's, we don't know what normal is going to look like for a while, but what we do is that we try to adapt, and we acknowledge the fact that we have feelings about this, and that our children respond to this differently, so it's just like, my son hadn't seen another child for probably the better part of 4 months. And when I was thinking about, bubbling, and talking about, we're going to find another friend that we can start doing a small bubble with and whatnot. I honestly thought that his reaction was going to be great. I get to see another kid. It was the exact opposite. It was like, how do you make me choose just one friend that I can go and bubble with, And it's just like, and it became this really sad and overwhelming thing at first for him, because it wasn't just about, I get to see a friend, but now I have to make this impossible decision, and it's just like, so we had to work through that. And but I can't just be like, okay, no, that's fine, let's just see everybody, because he is in a high vulnerability category, so it's all these things that we don't really know how kids are going to react until they react. So now we have professionals who are there, who are willing to have some of these conversations with the child and with the parent to see, okay, well, where are we at, and could you use some additional support?
That is so interesting, because I had another parent, actually grandmother, share with me that when her granddaughter was finally able to get out, she didn't want to go. She was like having a bit of a phobia about being around people, because she had heard so much about COVID-19, that COVID-19 was this huge monster in her head. And she's like, why would I want to go out there? Because I'm going to catch this COVID-19. I'm going to die. And, I think parents need to be so careful as well about the conversations that they're having around their children, because of course they take everything in. I mean, they're little sponges from day one, right? And so they pick up on our anxieties. They, are listening to news. If you're listening to it, they're watching the news, they're hearing all of these things. And they don't have the life experience to always put that in context with, what our position is here in the Cayman Islands and what social distancing measures we have taken that have thus far been extremely successful. So I do think that there's definitely some things, as you say, that parents can do. And a lot of it is just keeping the lines of communication open. I mean, I've got a 3-year-old, she's going to be almost 4. And sometimes she gets anxious about the simplest things, like just going to the salon to get her hair washed. And she will say to me, I'm nervous. And, I need to understand from her perspective, well, what does that mean? Why are you nervous? What is that about? So I think just the act of being willing to listen. And I know that not every parent has the required tool set to do those things. So I think it's incredibly important to either acquire the tools or reach out to organizations such as yourself when you're doing these wellness checks, making them available to everyone, take advantage of those resources. And that will then put you in contact with the professionals if you do need that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just like, and I think it's one of the things that you and I have discussed, previously. We kind of expect parents, like once you become parents, it's suddenly like all this information just magically downloads and you know exactly what to say and exactly what to do, with your kids and whatnot. And that's not true. And it's too much to expect, of any human being. So, organizations like the Family Resource Center that have a lot of different, training and educational content for parents that address all kinds of different things. So it's good for us to sort of link people with the resources that we have in our communities. And, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to think ahead when it comes to this as well, and trying to see for those people who do need additional support, how can we try to mitigate, some of the potential hurdles that are there. So I mean, I know this is sort of new for us. I know that, we don't normally kind of, go out and try to kind of visibly engage in these services and everything else. But, when it's just like you're going in for a check, if you have a school-age child, this will be that school screening, which will, and if you do need that school screening specifically, that's even more reason to go ahead and have that done, and really and truly to give us as organizations the opportunity to kind of gather some information from the community to kind of determine what is going to be most helpful in terms of our programming and our services moving forward, so that we can build that resilience, because kids are resilient, we know that, but what determines whether or not a kid is truly resilient or how that's going to play out is the type of support that they have in the home and schools with the safe adults in their lives. It's not just because they're a child that they're automatically resilient. It's just that it's like that's something else that you can foster in them, resiliency. So that's what we're aiming for. So so the mobile health and wellness units are going to be out there. We're going to be putting out the locations for West Bay later today, along with how people can book those through. And we highly recommend that people actually book the specific time, so that we can also be in touch with you in case anything changes. Because obviously, we are in the middle of hurricane season and there's activity going around us. So we want to make sure that we can communicate with people as well in case there are any changes to the schedule.
Okay, thank you so much for that additional information. We do have a comment from Isadora, and Isadora says that you're always passionate for a wide range of social issues, probably since your birth. So you came out as a baby being passionate. Yes. She believes that you're living your purpose with passion for the community, and came out as so lucky to have you caring and doing something about it. So thank you so much, Isadora, for that kind comment. And yes, Carolina has been at this for a very long time. And
can you see my grace?
She's been involved in a lot of initiatives, in particular ones that put children at the forefront. And now that you're a mom yourself, how old is your son, by the way?
He's 8.
Wow, already.
I know. Can you imagine? People are like, weren't you pregnant just yesterday? I'm like, I know. And they're just like, he's 8.
Trust me. Now that you are a parent yourself, and a mom in particular, how do you think that your viewpoint on programs and available resources for children has changed? How has your perspective changed, if at all?
Well, I think it's one of those things where I think sometimes we kind of do ourselves a disservice and our community a disservice by saying, well, we don't understand unless you're a parent or until you become a parent, and it's just like, that's not really true. I think it's just like there's that aspect of the humanity of it, of the empathy of it that you can certainly put out there. I think that the parts that makes it really sort of specific to understanding things as a parent is just that you can fully get a grasp of just what does it mean to take on, that role where you're completely 100% responsible for somebody else, and sort of the implications of that responsibility, So I think that there are ways in which we can advocate for children and adolescents and to empower them. That doesn't require us to be a parent, and it's just like that we can protect them, that, without having to think about, that child as being potentially our child. And I think that's one of the things that you're always trying to push. But I do think that there is something that's very unique about the parent experience, where it is that you're certainly better able to understand and empathize when you are that person. So the way that translates into the work that I've been doing, because I've been doing this for, I think, at least 15, 16 years. I don't even remember anymore. But a really long time. And, I worked a lot more with teenagers first, now kind of broadening the scope with younger children as well. And it's just, it's about just how do we constantly keep that communication, and, and it's like, I think we focus so much on this idea of what we have to teach children or teach teenagers and whatnot, that we very rarely actually take the time to listen to what they're saying and actually including them and their voices in the things that we want to do, So anytime anybody comes and tells me about an initiative that they want to do that's specific for, and it's just like, so, it's like, oh, we want to do this youth related something, and it's like, great. And it's just like, and how many young people do you have kind of bringing them on board? So, so anything like that. There's a project that's currently been a bit on hold that we're hoping to pick up again, which is an interactive lesson that we want to do for teens, with things pertaining to, relationship violence and the like. And it's just like, okay, well, we need to make sure that we have teenagers who are coming in who are talking about that in terms of, what they've heard about this and their experience, so that it can resonate, So from this perspective, I think a lot of the work that I've done with child protection has really been geared towards the adults, and getting adults to kind of understand that they need to shoulder that responsibility. And that is our responsibility as adults to keep kids safe and not put kids in these positions to begin with. We have done some work about child safety lessons directly for children as a way to educate them and kind of bring everything back. But our focus has really been on trying to, to get parents, adults, teachers, and other adults, into that realm of responsibility. So yeah, and it just does. I mean, when you have a child and you're kind of seeing certain things firsthand, you're more aware of where some of the gaps are, or why is it that they're just like, there are gaps in this particular school or scenario or setting, but not in this one. So, and those are things that, and it's just like, I guess you see a bit more clearly. But yeah, I think it just, the project that I run, the Protection Starts Here, the multi-agency child abuse prevention project, it's as old as my son. It's my other baby. So, and it's like, we've been doing this for 8 years, and it's just like that, it keeps growing and changing. But yeah, so I think it's obviously, the personal plays into the professional when you do things like this, but it really just kind of helps you to try to figure out a little bit more your experiences as a parent. My push towards educating people about the lack of standards in summer camps was something that I had started before I became a parent. However, when I was that parent who needed to have that summer camp option and was kind of, held to, okay, I need either go to work or, have that, the summer camp to try to, take my son to when he was about 3. And then kind of seeing, the how lacking some of the things were at that point in time. And it's just like that really brings it home, because it's no longer this theoretical thing about, oh, there are no national standards when it comes to youth serving organizations. It's about, no, this is your kid and you're watching this and you know better, but you don't have another option right now, and your kid needs to be there, and you're just kind of hoping that nothing goes wrong, So yeah, so I think it definitely, if anything, it kind of adds to the passion and the fire. So yeah.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
So Alric says that I'm just trying to, it looks like he's just copying and pasting some information about the wellness initiative. So again, folks, if you're just tuning in, it is an initiative that starts, what's the start date again?
July 28th. So next week, Tuesday.
So next week, Tuesday, July 28th, it's a free mobile health and wellness clinic for children and adolescents up to 17. But as Carolina said, if you're 18 or 19, it's not like they're going to turn you away.
Yep.
So the Red Cross is going to be going from district to district, starting in the District of West Bay first, for a total of 5 weeks, ending up in East End. And these clinics will run daily from Tuesdays to Saturday from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m.
Yep.
And it's July the 28th through August the 29th, pretty much a month. Yep. And anyone from 4 years old. So I could bring along my 4-year-old.
There you go. Yes.
17 years old can certainly take advantage of this physical checks and mental wellness as well.
And just to be clear, for if there are any teenagers who are listening, young people ages 16 and up can actually book their own appointments. So if they are, it's one of those things where I'm a strong believer in an adolescent health clinic, and I've been pushing that for a better part of a decade. And I think we need to empower young people to, take ownership of their health. So, so if you just want to have that check-in, if you have questions about things, because obviously the needs of teenagers are, very different than the needs of 4-year-olds or 8-year-olds, and it's just like, and you want to have some conversations. And if you need to talk about, things pertaining to sex and sexuality, and it's just like, you need to be able to have that, or need to start developing those relationships with your medical professionals, and to have that, all of them, because yes, it's COVID-19, there's a crisis, there's hurricanes and whatnot, but things don't stop for you. You're still a teenager. There's still things that you're thinking about. Your body is still changing, and you have questions about things that are normal, and it's just like, and so so we're encouraging young people as well to make sure that they come out, to be able to make good use of this opportunity.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for that. Eden says all of these initiatives help build overall empathy in our community as well. So they're very much needed in Cayman and worldwide. Thank you. Awesome. All right, folks. So will you send us some additional information, maybe a flyer or something that we can stick up on Instagram and on our Facebook page as well, just to make sure that people are well aware of this initiative. So
yes, everyone, and I'll send you the schedules for the individual districts as they come out. So, and if you could just plug them in as you're talking to people, because obviously you have a good broad reach. So we appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to give us a little bit of time to talk about this. So thank you.
Definitely. So folks, when you see that go up on the page, please like and share and cross post that so that everyone in the community is aware of what's available to them, because I find that we have a lot of resources here, but sometimes it's a question of making that information widely available to the general public. Like, a couple weeks ago, again, we were talking about our families and raising children and, parenting courses, and these things are happening around us and we have no idea. I mean, I didn't even know that some of the parenting courses and initiatives are underway. And I hope that those organizations will continue to reach out. Thank you, Aunt Carolina, for reaching out to us to come on the program, because this is one venue that can reach thousands of persons, because even if someone isn't watching live, they do go back and watch live later on. So we average about 4,000 or 5,000 views on these live streams. So absolutely. Thank you for that. I think that we're most grateful for you joining us this morning and providing this information, and for really getting this initiative organized and out into our communities where we need it.
Yeah. And thank you again for the space, and I hope that people come out. So we'll see you over the next 5 weeks.
Good stuff. All right, folks. Again, Carolina, have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you.
And stay safe. And to everyone else who is tuned into the program, I think that we will. Sorry. I've actually pulled her up. There we go.
I didn't want to just jump off.
I know, right? I know. So yes, I think we will probably end the program just a little bit early this morning. But you've got lots of information that you can be having a look at. I'm trying to confirm if we are having a press conference today. Let me just see if I can find out those details. I haven't heard as yet. The Public Accounts Committee has been extremely busy. They have been meeting and talking about a number of initiatives, and they've been looking at the fuel companies. They've had them in this week. They've been interviewing and talking to the telecom companies. So I know a lot of people don't necessarily listen to the Legislative Assembly proceedings, which are aired live all the time. So you can listen on Radio Cayman. Most people just they're either too boring or they don't have time, but listen to me. Sometimes you listen to those and you actually have fireworks going off in those public account hearings. And there was something that happened a couple of days ago where because people take an oath when they go in there to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sort of thing. And apparently there were some questions about whether or not someone who had come before the committee had actually been honest, and they were put to task about the veracity of what they said. And this becomes a matter of public record. These are things that concern all of us. And yes, Eden says fix off-reg, because it turns out that off-reg is a hot mess. And there's some real concerns there. So that's a topic that we definitely need to have a discussion on. And hopefully next week we can maybe pull some persons in. So the press conference has been postponed. Time and date to be announced was the response that I have just received. So no press conference today. It has been postponed. And as soon as we have some additional information, we will certainly let you guys know. So I will post this up on our page so that everyone is aware that there is no press conference, because people always message me throughout the day, hey, is there a press conference today? So I will post that up here shortly. All right, folks, it is Friday. Like we said, we're doing a couple things. We're watching Thunderstorm Gonzalo. He does seem to be slowing down a little bit, weakening a little bit. That's the forecast over the next several days. So let us continue to monitor him and that whole situation. We will also be closely monitoring, well, that's the only immediate weather situation that's going to be impacting us right now. But those of you who expressed interest yesterday in the protest, which, by the way, against Fidelity, I've had a number of you reach out on the WhatsApp 324-1612. I'm just cautious because of this thunderstorm of what day we could do it. And of course, I don't know if you guys are actually working. So does it make sense to do it during a business day? So I'm going to get some of your feedback on this. So if you've not yet contacted me, but you are interested in participating in this protest, this is just about, making your views and be known that you are not appreciative of the fact that Fidelity has ignored every single aspect of the COVID-19 emergency withdrawal provision for pensions. And they continue to run afoul of the law. There are people who are months now, they applied in May and we're going into August, and who have still not received their money. So if you're one of those persons, or your family members are one of those persons, I think it's time that we stand up and allow our voices to be heard. And, I said, if it's only 5 people, Fidelity will get the message that we do not appreciate how you have treated the members of this community in a time like the COVID-19 pandemic, when they need their money the most. It's just been really, really horrible. So we're going to be arranging that. We will get all of the things in place in terms of date and time, and of course, all of the official police permission to actually host the protest and so on. So stay tuned. I will be bringing you guys additional information in regards to that in very short order. So Eden says, diplomatic, they're seriously holding up renewable energy in Cayman, and it's unacceptable. It looks like that's one way in which they are failing, but it is obviously not the only thing that is wrong with OFREG. And everybody's in the blame game at the moment. Oh, it's the government's fault because they didn't, decide how to merge all of these entities together. So conceptually, they knew what they wanted to do, but in practice, it has created a lot of issues. Someone said to me yesterday that one of the biggest issues is there is a merging in name only, but they're still very much operating as completely separate entities with separate, financial people for each one. And it's kind of crazy how it is so disjointed and all over the place. So we're going to get some more information on that. I'm actually going to have a meeting this morning with someone who is potentially interested in coming on board to work with us as it relates to covering the Legislative Assembly proceedings, because this person actually loves that sort of thing. And we need someone who can break it down in a very concise manner, someone who can, in 10, 15 minutes, do a quick video, tell us in 2 twos what was covered, what's the highlights, what's controversial. Boom, there you have it. And you don't have to listen to 8 hours worth of proceedings to get the highlights and the main points of what happened. So John, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Alric. Thank you, Eden. All of you have a blessed day and a blessed weekend. Appreciate the love that you showed for Carolina Ferreira from the Cayman Islands Red Cross. And again, please make yourselves aware of this mobile health and wellness clinic that is being put together for children and adolescents, starting in the District of West Bay next week, Tuesday. And again, it's going to be every Tuesday to Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., July the 28th through the 29th. And it's open from very young children, so 4 to 17. My daughter doesn't turn 4 until August the 9th. So hopefully by the time they reach our area, our neck of the woods, she will be 4. And we will take her to that and see, what that's all about. And she's a talker, so I'm sure if she's feeling nervous or she has any concerns, she will definitely share that with anyone who's willing to listen. So again, thank you guys so much. Have a safe weekend. And we'll be back here on Monday morning at 7:15. If there's anything breaking that happens over the weekend, of course, you know that we will be there to cover it and to bring you the latest news and the latest happenings. So please be safe. By the way, there is an article that's up on the website. I don't know how many of you saw this, but if you've not yet had an opportunity to see this, there's a lot of shenanigans going on, allegedly, at the MRCU. And that has led to a vast majority of their staff actually signing a letter of no confidence against their current director. And their allegations that he is using chemicals that are not healthy for us, that he is undoing the hard work of the 2 previous directors who were in there before him. So I think that this is a conversation that we're going to have, and we're going to dig into a little bit deeper details on this on Monday's show. I was hoping to get to it a little bit this morning, but with a guest, sometimes you can't always gauge exactly how long someone will be on for, and we don't want to rush our guests. We want them to take as much time as they need to really, just provide this useful information that the community needs about these community initiatives and projects. So on Monday, we'll dive into this a little bit, because it seems like MRCU has actually been a hot mess now for more than a minute since this guy came in. It hasn't really looked all that great. So yes, we will be having that discussion on Monday. And we will take him to task if that's what's required. And we're hoping the government actually does something about it. His position is up for renewal. It's being advertised. So I sure hope that the Caymanians that have been understudying him apply for the job and are given the opportunity to run our MRCU agency, because it's not like at this point they don't know what to do. They've been in the job for a really long time, and they have been relatively successful in keeping the mosquito population down until recent times. And that is a direct result of my understanding is some of the strategic decisions and changes that this particular director has been making. And most people are not impressed. And in fact, his staff said, we're no longer proud to work for the department that we used to love. And that is a sad indictment on the MRCU. So tune in on Monday's show. We'll talk a little bit about that. Eden, hopefully we can also work off-reg into the discussion. I think we will invite our guests on who, watches the proceedings, and maybe a few people in those particular industries to give us some feedback on exactly what's going on over at off-reg. Folks, thank you so much again for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. I'm signing off now. You've been listening to none other than Sandy Hill. So let's get it, folks. It's Friday, but we got a lot to do. Take care.
Thank you for tuning. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.